Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the breakout that Bitcoin is seeing. Bitcoin is on an absolutely massive tear. We've been mapping out why I expected this move to be taking us into new all-time highs. We are coinciding on this breakout with the S&P 500 now going into a brand new all-time high for the first time since all the way back in 2021. Now guys, we're going to be looking at the total market cap 1, 2, and 3, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys everything in the chart so that you guys can be best prepared and positioned so that we know how to play the market and position ourselves to make the most profit over the next couple months. If at any point you find any value, please do me a favor, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And if you do want to see how I'm investing over this cycle, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up for my website. Now guys, when we're coming over here and looking at Bitcoin, most of what we're seeing with Bitcoin breaking out has everything to do with what we're seeing with the S&P 500. With the S&P 500 now making a brand new all-time high, this is what we were watching for in my last update. Really just mainly looking at when this thing was going to finish its retest. In my last update, we were right over here. We ended up making one more pullback, but we instantly got that brand new all-time high shortly after. So now as it stands with the stock market in a new all-time high, you know, we're looking at gold in a new all-time high. We're looking at even the Dow Jones, all of the other indices in new all-time highs. This is really going to be a super hyped cycle for Bitcoin because it's got a lot more buy support than ever before. Now, in the shorter time frames, we've broken from this inverse head and shoulder. This has been the main thing that I've been updating you guys with. Now that we've broken out, we're just kind of watching to see what's going to happen. This, in the shorter time frames, is just consolidation. Nothing has changed since my prior videos. Like I said, guys, in my prior updates, I said I wouldn't even be surprised if we came back down and made another type of correction to kind of retest this descending resistance, this new support, before we saw a new move. And I'm still anticipating we could see something like that. Now, at the end of the day, when we're looking at Bitcoin having such a big breakout, you know, we can't really fight the trend. And that's why I say that you're better positioned just watching what Bitcoin does rather than trying to FOMO buy as we're really at this resistance here, at this resistance here. We're approaching those same range highs that we've kind of been holding below, right? Because we've been consolidating below and above this resistance for a long period of time. If we come all the way out and we get our resistance tool, we go to our prior all-time high, this is a very important level that we're now hitting. And we're not quite at that same level, but we're really close to it. Close enough that we have to be at least aware, considering where our last consolidation was. When we first started running up and we retested that high, it was here. And then we broke above it right here. And then inside of that breakout, we had two different retests of that level before once again, we closed below here, closed below here, got back above it right here, consolidated for a second, closed back below there, consolidated below it here, closed back above it once more there, and then we ended up breaking down just again. So when we're looking at Bitcoin, it's been messing with this level a lot. Now that we're right back in contact with that same level, I'm not going to be surprised if we saw a short-term pullback before we were able to get higher, but just be aware of that in the shorter time frame. I still think a lot of the charts look really great, but as we're getting towards this resistance, you're better off waiting for some type of confirmation. If we get a break above, we come all the way back up to these range highs and get back above this level, then that's going to be looking very bullish. And we'll be right in the same territory that all three of these prior false breakouts have been in, only they have been unable to actually confirm the breakout and hold it. So it'll be interesting to see how Bitcoin's going to hold. For those that are looking at what that level is, it's basically just 69,000, you know, just right around that point in price. That's what we're going to be looking at as the shifting point for Bitcoin. If as long as we stay below this, you know, we got to be looking at potential for another correction lower. Now, if we were able to get above this and hold it as support, do the things that none of these prior breakouts have been able to do, at that point, we could be looking for a new all-time high. So these are the scenarios that I'm watching. It's really going to revolve around this prior all-time high level being $69,000 and really seeing the stock market in a new all-time high. It does give a lot more encouragement that Bitcoin's going to finally be able to break above that level and enter price discovery. When we come over here and look at our other indexes of crypto, we're going to be looking and starting with the total market cap because this is going to be the main index for crypto as a whole, because this is factoring all of the conglomerate, every single altcoin, every single, you know, chart is in the market. Now, we've been talking about the total market cap chart because I've always explained that it follows and obeys levels a little bit more accordingly than the US dollar pairs will. And this is just basically the volume chart for the most part. Although when we're seeing this, it had this perfect retest of this lower high. And when I made my first update talking about this, that was right at the bottom before we ended up going up. And I said that we're better off buying in these times because we're sitting on a long-term support than we are selling. You know, if we were to get a confirmed breakdown below, then at that point we would be looking for that type of a setup. But for the sake of us, we ended up retesting that and then getting this bullish engulfing. And we're pretty much just following along with what I expected to play out. So now as we're looking at the total market cap, already flipping this level, you know, we're starting to make that next high. we're kind of coming right back into contact of what I would say is the next really important level for this chart, which is going to be our next resistance. This is going to be the resistance of right around, when we first topped at 65K per Bitcoin, when we made our first attempt at a breakout going into a brand new all-time high here. And then when we started to actually break down from our all-time high, it was that same level that we ended up breaking below. So in the same way that Bitcoin is approaching this important level, and we're wondering, whether we're going to hold, whether we're going to break down, the total market cap is in the same sort of predicament. So we're going to watch and see exactly whether this ends up holding, because like I said, guys, if we're able to get a big move back above this, hold the breakout, then at that point I think that we're really looking at a new all-time high coming very soon in the markets. Overall, everything we've needed to see on all of these retests has played out. We've wanted to see the stock market break back out and go into a new all-time high. We knew that that would fuel crypto prices higher, and so far that's exactly what's happened. We wanted to see Bitcoin break out of this inverse head and shoulder. We have broken out of it. We are getting closer and closer towards those targets, so we would basically be looking at one more big push higher to actually fill those inverse head and shoulder targets before we would be looking at some type of a pullback. So just be aware of these things moving forward in the markets. Understand that obeying level to level, we're right where we need to be for right now. Now, the next big hurdle is basically just going to be right here, being 2.4 trillion. Because if we can get above this, like I said, that is basically our main resistance. That was the top of the resistance that we've kind of been coming in contact with over the last couple months. So if we get back above that, I think that that sets us in for a new all-time high move. And when we're looking at the total market cap, going into a new all-time high, we're not very far off. So that's kind of why I lean towards emphasis that this will be the new all-time high breakout, that this will be the point where we're going to finally see, new all-time highs in not only just Bitcoin, but the altcoin markets as well. Because Bitcoin has already made a new all-time high, right? Bitcoin's already peaked all the way up here at 72,000, maybe even a little bit higher than that, depending on the chart you're looking at. So we're really just waiting for when these altcoins are going to finally pick up in pace. And when we're looking at the total altcoin market cap chart, we're lagging just a little bit behind it, but not a ton. We can come over here and we can see that we've retested another important level. It's just a different level, right? Instead of us being on top of this lower highest support like the total market cap, we actually rejected and fell below that. And so I think it's important that we're understanding that still altcoins are lagging, and altcoins are going to lag until Bitcoin gets into that new all-time high. That's what we have always seen in every single one of these cycles. Sometimes it happens a little before, maybe Bitcoin goes and starts breaking these all-time highs and then altcoins run. In the last cycle, it was all the way over when Bitcoin got up to around like 25 to 30K, that's when the altcoins started running. So we don't know exactly how the altcoins, or when the altcoins are going to really start running and picking up in pace against Bitcoin, but we do believe that it is going to be soon. So if we're looking at Bitcoin making that next move into a new all-time high, I do think that the altcoins are going to be, doing pretty much the same thing. What I think is going to happen is Bitcoin is going to make a decent breakout. It's going to come up. Altcoins are going to follow suit, break out of this high, retest it. And then at that point, once Bitcoin kind of finishes out its retest and makes its next high, I think that in that next high is when the altcoins are probably going to start really running in a quicker pace. That would be my guess, because at that point there's really not any resistance left for the altcoins before they start going into that price discovery. And so I think that Bitcoin lining up with already being in a new all-time high for the most part, that's going to most likely be when we see the real flipping point in the altcoin trend. So when I'm looking at all of these charts though, guys, it gives me a lot of encouragement, because the big thing I've been wondering is, whether the stock market was going to start breaking out so quickly. Now that we are, even if we saw a pullback in the shorter time frames all the way back down in here, it doesn't really change anything, because this thing is very much bullish. We just broke out of this massive accumulation. In fact, it's one of the biggest accumulations that we've seen, pretty much since all the way back in the 2008 financial crisis. So I think it's important that on the big picture trend, we're understanding that we went through a pretty lengthy consolidation right here. So leading into this move, I think things are going to get very impulsive, and there's a lot fueling why Bitcoin's going to make so much more gains in this cycle. Now, we know the altcoins have always provided the biggest gains, but when we're looking at Bitcoin having the ETF, getting so much more institutional demand, this is the first time we've had institutional demand in the markets. I think that that's really why we're seeing so much more of a bullish cycle, why it's, the dips have been a little bit smaller. I know a lot of people a couple weeks ago were really in the comments section on my videos, specifically when we were sitting right down here on this support, a lot of people were in the comment section of my video saying that, you know, this was too small of a correction, that we still needed a lot bigger one. Some people were saying 50K. A lot of people were saying even 45 to 40K. But I just felt like, you know, we had probably already seen the ending of that correction, because what we're seeing in this cycle in comparison to the other cycles is the ETF, is institutional demand, is a lot more exposure to retail than ever before. More people know about crypto because in the last cycle, we did see a lot more of that relevance, I guess you could say. However, with this cycle having the ETF, it doesn't get any more relevant than that. So the pullbacks have been smaller the entire way up this entire trend. You know, whichever one you're looking at, all of them have been very small. And I expected that this one was also going to play out in the same pace. So now that we're getting this retest, I'm kind of expecting that we're going to see the markets performing very, very bullish. And this is going to be the point where we do end up seeing that altcoin profit, or what I should say, the Bitcoin profit, rotate back into those altcoins. So big thing we're watching for with the altcoins is going to be 1.273 trillion. If we're able to get back above that level, that's where I think that we're going to make it into a new all-time high for the altcoin pairs. Now, when we're looking at the total market cap, in the shorter time frames, both Bitcoin and the total market cap are sitting right here at this important level that, in my opinion, once we get above it, that's going to be the point where we're going to be, you know, really looking at the next big hurdle. Because if we can get back above 2.4 trillion inside of the total market cap, at that point, that's where we're going to be probably sending it into that next move, all the way back up to the prior all-time high being 3 trillion in market cap. And with the Bitcoin, you know, we're kind of just sitting right below, if I could come into the daily time frame, we're sitting right below that same level that we've been at, which would be the prior all-time high being like $69,000. This entire consolidation we've been at, once we get above that, I think it's really clear skies ahead for Bitcoin. That's the main thing we're going to be targeting for Bitcoin. With the price of that, 69,000, just be aware. So anyways, guys, if you did find value in this video, please do me a favor, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And if you guys do want to end up seeing how I'm investing my portfolio over this entire cycle as we're getting into this new all-time high move, I've been posting a lot of signals because this is the point where we're going to make the majority of our altcoin profit. Anybody that wants to see how I'm investing, how I'm looking at my portfolio, anything that I'm buying, selling, trading over the course of the cycles, and most importantly, when I do take profit, links are in the description to go ahead and set up on my website. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.